Live anti-cheats miss things, forensic scans do not. With Detect.ac, you can catch cheaters yourself without any forensic knowledge required. Think of it as a full system virus scan, but built specifically for cheats, bypasses, and anti-forensic methods. Our scanner detects everything from private bypass methods to mainstream cheats using deep forensic analysis across the entire system. Start a session, send your suspect a download link, and watch the live updates come in. Once the scan finishes, review the logs and take action with confidence. Use Detect.ac and remove cheaters with proof, not guesswork.
And hello people, all fans and joys of esports! We are Voltage League and we are back. My name is Mighty Ryujin and I will gonna be your host for this day, the very first playday of the second stage for this season. We are back in the Swiss, and of course I can't do this cast alone because I'm just a host. So please, bring up a big welcome to both Puffabub and also Amguns. How are you two guys? Amguns, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Mighty. We're back. Voltage is back. We're all looking very sharp, I see, which is good because it's a big day. It's the start day of the major of Voltage League. We've just had the quals. We're doing well. Puffer Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm excited. We've received so many good news about Rainbow Six Siege. South Breach got announced. Then you have the Benelux LAN and Voltage League. We're fed.
Oh yeah, and by fed, he is definitely right, because yes, indeed, we have something going on in the background as an additional tournament. We have ELC also popping up yet again with another tournament. So also to shout it out, go over to those sites, go over to that cast, to these matches, enjoy them, because $2,000 of cash prize entry money is definitely a big sum of money, which although, in that case, teams that play these series definitely tend to look up in the upper tiers of esports. But yet indeed, we need to calm down a little bit, because I know it's exciting. First day of Swiss, we all want to see what's going on, but we need to sum up what we have just seen. We saw it in the previous clips, 16 teams made it in total. 4 of them were invited, 12 had to fight for their spot. And that is something that we need to bag up. 3 qualifiers we had on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of August. Only 12 teams made it through that bracket, with the heavy hitters being teams that we just have seen so much of in the past tournaments. It's Honved, it's Kokozi, Good Intentions, and Maestresca. Beyond that, we also have another bunch of banging teams. One of these teams we will see later in the very first matchup, as we will cover the very first and second round of Swiss today. But enough talks about qualifiers. But we had qualifiers. When we have matches and we have qualifiers, we definitely have some stats. Amguns, bring us on.
We do indeed, and I thought, what better way to start than everyone's favourite hot topic? What was our most popular maps through the qualifiers? People always try and guess what the vetoes are going to be. And because we had over 280 matches played in the quals, why don't we take a look at what some of the most popular maps were coming from the qualifiers? And as you can see on the screen now, Lair, out of all the maps, was our most popular map. You can see the win percentages as well. It was a very 50-50 map. The key thing to realize here is if anything has a 60% a defensive split, then we're looking for a 4-2 split on the defensive half. If anything has a attacking 60% win rate, then it's an attacker-sided map. So you can see out of all of the maps that we had through the quals, the only one that's a little bit hit or miss is going to be those 4th and 5th most popular maps. Fortress and Labs, both being very defender-sided. So if we get one of those maps later, we're very much going to be looking for 4-2 splits on the defense. These are, however, expected results. We never know really what might happen. But Puffer Bob, when you're looking at these top 5 maps, what are your opinions? Do you enjoy these maps? Do you think this is a fair representation of what the best maps are currently in T2?
You know what, I think I remember the days when Lair came out and was introduced to competitive, and every single team, every single player complained, or rather avoided Lair like it was the plague, but now it is played as Oregon was back in the day. We see it every time, we see it everywhere, the bans are very similar, but I'm looking forward to more Lair again. But at the same time, you know what, I'm loving that Fortress is finding a bit of recognition, and also that Clubhouse is still loved.
Yeah. These are the maps that have been picked the most. Puff also named out the maps that we have seen so many times before, the standardized maps, where everything is about standards, everything is about these go and pick up strats that everyone knows and everyone should execute by perfection. But I love stats. Stats is my thing. And yet indeed, we just talked about maps. But when we have maps, we also need operators to play within these maps. And that's, I'm going to take it away once again.
So just like we said, we've got such a range of games that we had from the qualifiers. We do have sorry, I did the same thing you did. We have operator data as well. So why don't we take a look at that as well? And the key thing to note here is coming from the most recent T1 event that we just had, these operators are almost identical to what we saw in that T1 event. Especially on the attacking side, you can see Monty up there with a 50% ban rate nearly. He is clearly feared by T1 and T2. As you just know that he can take so much space. But the key thing to realize is that I think T1 is having a massive influence over T2 at the moment, with both of these attackers and defenders being nearly identical. The only real difference is you can see on the defense, Clash takes the number 5 pick, whereas in T1, that's now Wamai. Obviously, Wamai now having a C4, the super shotty, and his gadget recharging faster. I think the pros really didn't want him on the battlefield. Where here in Voltage in T2, you can see that Clash is just slightly more annoying. And you think if you look at this top 5 list of attackers, Puffer Bob, these are all very annoying operators. We see them banned all the time. Do you think this is in line with what you were expecting?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, all of these operators are powerhouses, and I think they have their fair share of reasons as to why they're banned, especially because, again, Lair also being the most picked map, all of these operators thrive on that map. But at the same time, you know, again, each operator finds their own place within this game, and, you know, Mighty, it doesn't surprise me that we get to see Monty banned out the most.
No, definitely not. It's still one of the biggest weapons that we have in the pool of attackers. But yet indeed, we will get a new counter very soon that will also have a big impact on this league in a few weeks coming. But the weeks are still to be played. There's many playdays yet to be concluded and competed for. So by that being said, let's have another look at the schedule. Which map, which matchup we're going to see very first here. So as you see, the bracket is there. It is a total normal bracket of Swiss stage. We will also be covering the very first match of the first round. As you see, that will be Panahone against Cameron. That is the first match that we were going to see. We will also cover a match later in the second round, but yet those are to be decided. But when we see this bracket now, my dear friends, do you see 1 or 2 matches here that also might be very interesting for the very first round? Maybe also looking towards the second round coming up later.
Yeah, especially outside of the game, we have streams. Also, Panahune versus their opponents. There is a massive amount of T2 quality in that game, and that's why we're going to be showing that game on stream. But I also want to highlight Myth versus the Turks. Myth have just had a new roster put together with some of their original core. The Turks have been around a long, long time as well. So that's another battle where you're going to have a lot of T2 experience in the lobby, and hopefully we'll see some great siege reflected in the scoreline. If we get a close game there, I'll be a very happy man. So that's the other standout game for me. Also, we can't show all the games at the same time because they're all happening at the same time. So we'll be able to pick one game now and one game from round 2. But if there was any other game that my money would be on being a banger, it would be that Myth versus Turks game. What about you, Puffer Bob?
Honestly, I don't think I can choose a specific game. All of these are exciting, but what excites me most is that from the last time in Voltage, not only did we see different rosters, as you mentioned, but now these rosters are upgraded heading into Season 7. And also, you know, there's Challenger or EML Tier 2 Grand Final points on the line. So I'm not excited as for a specific match. I'm more excited as to see the glow-up these teams have had since the last time we were here.
Yeah. All these teams have had a glow up. All these teams have been upping their rosters, have been prepping better together, and have pretty much found themselves in a better state than they have been in the previous seasons. As you mentioned, Puff, and also led towards this is a chance not only for the teams to gather more points in that T2 circuit, but maybe also make themselves a bigger of a name in the EML. For that chance, maybe also be the next runner-up into T1. As we've seen a team before, Geeke won last season of Voltage, is now a T1 team. So the possibilities are always there. You just need to work and grind hard for it, because there's no one that's just going to give you a free entrance into T1, that's for sure. But we've seen the bracket for the first round. We have announced the first match that we were going to cover with Panahone against Cameron. And indeed, it is a best of one meta. And for a best of one meta, our dear friends, we need a map. So let's check out the map bands.
I wonder what it could be. What map are we going to get, Puffo? What are we going to get?
There it is. She shines beautifully upon us. Again, I love that teams are picking up maps that are refurbished, and Fortress was given that chance. It grew on to people more than any before. We also got Bank, which would have been quite a banger, Border right before it, but both these teams decided, you know what, we're not going to be going towards a frag fest. Rather, we're going to show these players something new, and potentially we might also see some things that Panahune have been cooking in the background.
The best thing that I've just noticed, sorry Mighty, just before you keep going, is I think something to highlight is Panahune did not ban 4 maps back to back, as our graphic might suggest. Normally we do see teams go back and forth when it comes to these best of ones, but I think, Mighty, if we did have this format, do you think it might change the way T2 operates if you could ban 4 maps immediately and then leave the rest to your opponents?
It will definitely change the meta, of course. That just opens completely up for it. Just imagine the fact if you are the favorite going into a match, like pretty much you have gone out of qualifier as the first seed, and you go in like direct knockout matches, and you have the upper hand and the audacity to just say, I can ban out the 4 maps that I hate the most, and you have 0 struggles thinking about those anymore. The less amount of stress that the players will have to endure for the maps, because they say, okay, we have taken out the 4 worst maps that we have and are in with the 5 best that we have, will definitely change the matter. That's for certainly to say. But indeed, that is not the case, as you mentioned, because it might be a little bit overpowered. If you don't agree with me, I do not know why. But on that occasion, we have this match of Panahone against Cameron. Panahone, yes, indeed, is also a big name. Team from Finland, just recently played Combine, an event that you both attended. So, Amguns, what are maybe the impacting things about Panahone? Why that team is maybe one of the favorites? Why is that team so dangerous?
I think the biggest thing is now their coach. So for those who aren't aware, Uno, the G2 legend himself, is now the coach of Panahune. There's a wealth of experience that comes with that. You have one of the greatest players to touch the game now in your corner. He's giving you that advice on how to manage the game, giving you advice on, this is what you need to do. This is how you can be better. So to have that experience behind you and have that wealth of knowledge to help you be a better team has just helped Panahune come such a way, and obviously help them win the Combine as well.
Yeah. And on the other occasion, as Puffo, you are the man behind the play-by-play here for that day. Amguns is the king of stats, and you're the king of play-by-play. Are there certain plays or certain play styles that we've seen before from Panahone that are endangering the case of their opponents? Is there some sort of play style that made them so crucial to play against?
I think you've struck a real good place in my heart for this one, because I'm always a big fan of aggression, and I think all 3 of us know, many of you watching as well, Panahune, they love their aggression. They're good on maps like Chalet, they're good on maps like Consulate, and they can temper that aggression right well, because there's teams that just like to swing all out, right, and they go for big gambits. Are we going to lose this fight, or we're going to potentially, get a big man advantage? No, Panahune, they have the timings, and again, like Amguns mentioned, now they have Uno Meister on their side, and I think the potential behind this team, alongside with that tempered aggression, is going to sky high.
Oh yeah, and on a map like Fortress, it's relatively new still, so there's still a lot of things that need to find their place, a lot of strats that still need to be tried out. But on that occasion, it is a map that also leaves ground for their opponents, Cameron, to pick up their good side and maybe shock us all with a striking win here against Panahone. What are the odds? What are the possibilities? We will very soon find out when we go into this very first map of Fortress. But yet indeed, the last words of Fortress, I will deliver them to you, Amguns. Last words.
I think it's going to be a great map. I really want to see both these teams break that uneven split. If we can get some 4-2s, some 5-1s, I think we're going to have a cracking game on our hands.
Buffo?
I don't know. I think, as much as Cameron you know, I respect the roster that's heading into this. Sneak, Buser, Tridley, Kari, Elizao, all of these players are great. But again, I think if I were to put my money on the line for this one, Panahune take it.
Yeah, I indeed can say Panahune will count as the favorite and Cameron will be the underdog. But we have also seen so many great underdog stories. They all begin the very first round of Swiss, where the hard players are tested by the unknown, and the unknown are always always capable of figuring out ways to strike you down when you at least await it. It will be a hard one for Cameron, but the chances are never zero, as we will very soon clock in on Fortress, a map where both teams will be tested from top till downs. But, of course, we're not entirely ready yet.
We're not quite ready yet, but I was
you're
gonna
the
say,
stats king. We have seen operator bans, we've seen map bans. What are your personal first bans that we're going to see on the map of Fortress?
Oh, it's tough to say. Obviously, Monty being such a popular ban, I think we'll definitely see him coming out. I think especially on Fortress, having the Deimos coming out as well will be massively influential. We've seen so many extended holds on Fortress. So when you're defending one side of the map, you want to extend onto the other, make it difficult for your team. So I definitely think we're going to see the Deimos or the Snake coming out as well to allow the defense to extend onto the other half of the map.
Yeah, and by that being said, we're going in. Casters, take it away. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Mighty. You hop into a call with this man and you're forced to wear a suit in the summer, but, you know, that's just the energy we need. Amguns, it's been a good moment, but Fortress awaits us, and so does a very good match to kick off Voltage League Season 7.
It does indeed, Puffo. I cannot wait for this match to get underway, and I think Mighty highlighted it perfectly in the pre-game show. The experience of both of these teams is insane. As we get into the lobby, I just want people to really appreciate some of the players that we have in the lobby with us today, Puffo. The amount of T2 experience, these are like the GOATs of T2 in this matchup, Puffo.
They're the GOATs. There's a reason we're so excited for this matchup. And again, Cameron, as much as they don't have the, I won't say experience, because they do. They have the experience without a doubt. But they don't have the same chemistry as Panahune. I want to be proven wrong. I want them to shut me up right now and show us why they are the GOATs heading into this matchup. And Amguns, we're already on our wave of bans. The Solid Snake, I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise. Caden banded. Not really, but we do have one operator that wasn't in the top 4 of most commonly banned. And that's going to be Glaz.
That is the Glaz. It's a real pocket pick. We've seen some teams really utilize the Glaz for their execute plays. It seems like on Fortress, there's a lot of Glaz usage coming out. So there's a bit of a target ban coming in from the defense to get rid of the Glaz. I think the Bandit and the Cade is very standard bans here. As we see the wall denial, if you can't get the walls open, you can't start the rest of the round. So to make it easy as possible, get rid of the 2 electrifying operators to make it as easy as possible to get the game underway.
Now, one thing that I will say that kind of leans in towards Panahune's favor is that Fortress reminds me a bit of Shotgun. You know, you go towards the upper floor and you're either going to attack the bathroom side to get to the opposite side of the map and then go for the plant, or you're going to approach Old Tower, similarly to that library and office dynamic that Charlie tends to bring. And I'm wondering how this is going to, how if Panahune are actually going to try and reminisce back to such a map. Either way, though, we're hopping into the first round, and it's a best of one. We are sadly not seeing a long-term match here, so both these teams are not really going to have all the time to express everything they have, but you know, still grateful to see.
Yeah, and as you can see from the lineup, Panahune have very much gone for the fire with fire approach. You've got a lot of traps in the lineup here. You've got the Thorn and the Denari to hopefully give lots of information to the defense. So that way, when Cameron looks to try and take this map control, there's plenty of info for them to swing off, to aggress on, and deny that map control. That Wamai that we spoke about as well with the recent buff is going to provide a lot of protection to this extension as well. So that way they can hold on to this map control and slow Cameron down.
Yeah, for a moment we saw it right there. Jack's the spearhead of this operation extension. And meanwhile, though, a Razor Bloom quickly spotted. User on droning duty. Early breach is attempted by Tridley, but we see why the Wamai tends to be banned here, right, Amguns?
Exactly that. The utility you get from this Wamai is phenomenal. As you can see, we've already lost 1 ace charge. We're going to be able to get this breach open, but that means later on, that second breach is going to become a problem. Monty looking to drop here, Puffo.
User, he's going to remain patient. Jack so as well. The Monty is alone. Elevate skin. Glorified. But for now, both these players will give respect to each other and take a step back.
And this is very methodical from Cameron. I really like it. They're taking their time to deal with this extension. Jeg's making the right call to back off and give this map control away. As you can see, look at the Cameron in numbers.
Jags, he's swinging deep, gonna pop the Goyo canisters and back up. Booster taking a slap on the wrist, but for now he escapes with his life, and so does Jags. The defenders can now lean back and wait for this execution to get prepared, but Cameron, again, they are taking a lot of space.
And this is a very bathroom-heavy execute coming in. Look at Jeg still being aggressive in this hallway. They need to get the Monty in there to try and push him back.
Yeah, the Monty just showing his face. Jeg's now death marked by Sneak, who's trying to find his opening. Neek is right around the corner to establish a cross. Potential swing being really edged here by Jegs. He wants to play with his food, but meanwhile not baiting out a headshot just yet.
And there's going to be about a minute left on the execute. Now they have this control. It's all about what can we do with the Monties. He keeps pushing up, forcing these defenders back as Sneaks get the opening engagement in a 4v5.
There we go, Arkari also on the sidelines, and as for now, Cameron, it seems like all is going as smooth as butter, but you still have to wait out those flames for the Goyo canisters to get gotten ridden out. There's a couple of flashes going out. Buster also trying to make an entrance, but for now, C4 in the pocket of Hava. He's ready to chuck it, nothing just yet, and Cameron, while they weren't giving away a lot, right now they're sending it full force. Nixu Nika is taking heavy damage. Tridley's gonna find his one as well. Buster going for that turtle plant, and Ellie elsewhere finding out Flam to remain, and Amguns, I think this is all they wrote.
This is going to be all they wrote indeed, as it's brilliant composure for Cameron. They understand what their game plan is. They've got the Monty to be able to turtle plant, as you said, and the key component was Akari on the flank watch. Once they got set up around the bomb site, Akari's job is just to sit there, hold the only way out of sight where they can contest the plant, and it's just put Panahune in a box. There's not really much they could do about it. The smoke got picked off midway through the plant, so those gas canisters can't be used to deny the plant either. The C4 didn't find its mark. It's just when those breaches got open, there's just too many lines of sight available to pin down Panahune and get that plant down.
Yeah, you just kind of get pinched in a box of doom, and honestly, well played by Cameron. I think they just approached this very perfectly. I do wish that Panahune didn't give them as much respect, right, Amguns? I mean, you take a look at the defenders, they backed up really quickly, and with the amount of investment from the utility side of things they put in there, I was hoping they might also tend to fight for it.
It's one of those things where I think Jegs especially got caught in a very awkward place. We know that Jegs' playstyle can be very hit or miss, depends on how much of a heater of a game he's having. Me and you saw first-hand Puffo at the Combine. If you just let him cook, he can really start to pop off. But I think they were like almost mid-retreat. They didn't quite manage to make it back to the safety of sight, and that's where they'd be able to use the Monty, use Booster to take that space. And then that's just what caused the defense to unravel a little bit. So Panahune, I think they've got to decide. Are we going to commit to the fight or are we going to back off? We can't get caught in that middle limbo. We've got to decide what our strat's going to be.
Yeah, and well, this is not only going to be a side switcher, but the lineup also a bit different. So let's see how Cameron are going to approach it. Hava playing with fire for now, almost wall-banged in the moment, but the Tachanka lives to tell the tale another day. As for now, though, again, the defenders are going to nicely respected. We saw the extension towards bathroom once more. As for Cameron, they're playing it a bit slower this time around.
And you can see there's so much stall on the side of Panahune this time. They've doubled down on the traps. We still have the Ella, and that's more than likely to counter Booster on the Monty. And the main thing is we've got the fire, double fire there.
Ooh, Lamb. Huge pick. He's going to find Eli. That's going to deny the main breach, but of course you have those secondary can openers in the meanwhile, though, trying to go for a swing. Tridley gets punished for overstepping boundaries. Nika's with a second for Panahune, as now the Monty is finally going to show his face, but you know the price that Cameron paid.
And it's going to be a great start once again for the side of Panahune as they manage to find two for their troubles. They've just got this player pinned into tower.
Gotta feel bad for Nikes, but again, he can just waste time by simply existing. That's how easy it tends to be. And Cameron are now looking for easy picks, but let's be honest, it's Panahune. They're not gonna give them up so easily.
And this is really good stuff from Panahune to shut the attack down early, use those traps to force Cameron to slowing down and capitalizing off the back of it too.
Neek is next to sight. Buster and Arkari, as much as they're being a really good distraction right now, the case isn't in the hands of that Dokkaebi. Sneak might be in for potential flank here, although meanwhile Buster is going to fall. Halvo just nicely burning him to scorched earth, as now two players for Cameron, having a taste of their own medicine from the previous round.
And the double fire coming in clutch. As Sneak will find one back, that's Jegs equalized. As you can just see here, Sneak looking to find a second. That Dokkaebi call going out. Will he be able to capitalize off the back of it?
gonna have to hope for it. Jago payload sent on to 2 players. Again, the bright flames just burning through Sneak as he's gonna tank that damage. Now heading forward, hoping he can find more off of this flank, stunned by a Gersmod. And again, the K's gone cold for the attackers. They're either gonna need to seek it out or be sought out by the defenders. Nipsu finding Rukari, Sneak in the crossfire, and a coup de grace for Panahune to equalize things out.
And it's a 1-1, very even after the first 2 rounds. I think it's really well played from Panahune. They found the case early. They just understood, we just got to hold the case. We don't really care if Cameroon have taken the site. We got a bomb. We're going to play the objectives. I think it's very nicely played from Panahune. Just to go back to basics, hold the diffuser, and win the round with some discipline.
I'll be honest, if I was in the shoes of Buser, I don't know how much you're going to agree here, Amguns, but the second, I would just wait for Sneak, see if he can get into sight, sneak into sight, if you may, pun intended, and then if you find the Dokkaebi in sight, Monty rotates.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Yeah, it's a very viable option. It just didn't quite work out for the side of Cameron, as Panahune just capitalized brilliantly on that last round. And as we look ahead, look at these naughty shots coming out from Nicky as he just takes the head off one. And then Monty, I think, he's just got caught in a very odd spot, and there's the fire again from the side of the Tachanka coming in clutch for that team. But Puffer Bob, we go down to the kitchen side, and this is the first time we're going to be seeing this attack. From the lineup that you see from Cameron, where do you think the attack's going to be coming?
Oh, I'd assume for the Cavalry again. We see the Nomad, but besides that, there is no vertical aspect inside their lineup. I'm imagining they're going to stick with it, and without a Sludge or a Ram, yeah, it's most probably just going to be possibly taking over the vertical, so at least Panahune can't use it as a defensive aspect, and then mostly heading back down and going for the side. That's my guess, but again, could be anything.
Cheeky little spawn peek coming in here, Puffo. Will he be able to get a nice little 5v4 straight off the rip?
There's 2 spawn peaks. Panahune are feeling high-tied, and Treadley is going to take a hefty amount of damage, and you don't want to lose your sense. Trust me, from experience, you do not want to lose your sense, or anyone for a matter of fact, although they didn't, but he is going to be low.
And this is where those early aggression can come in clutch. And again, I love the loadout from Panahune. You've seen Buster pick the Monty every round, and you can see just the amount of traps that Panahune are bringing to make sure that they can slow the Monty down and just make sure the Cameroon can't just take that map control for free. This top floor is pretty much free for the taking, so the breaching charges on the Nomad and Akari, they're going to be able to get full use out of them, start creating some vert and applying that pressure to the defense, try and get some of those anchors at the key positions as Jegs, as Lambe this time on the Thorn, being aggressive, being a bit annoying, making sure there's always a little bit of a worry from the side of Cameron. They can't just play this for free.
Yeah, Lam, he's still going to stick around this bathroom side on the bottom floor. Meanwhile, though, Cameron not really giving much of a care again. They have Sneak on that flank duty, so of course the air jabs are going to do their best. Kari currently seeking for potential C4s from below, I'm assuming, as well, while also just finding general information on utility.
And this is one of those things where now it's in Cameron's hands. Now they have this top floor. They're going to have to make a decision on what do we now spearhead this tech into.
Attackers, again, they've done well for the time given, but sooner or later they're going to need to execute. And again, Panahune, they have a bunker of utility set downstairs alongside the Goyos, Smoke Babes, Gersmots, you name it, right? There's a bunch of stuff still remaining, and Cameron, they're going to need to get ready for it.
And this is where Tridley on low HP, is that going to make all the difference in this matchup? Is it going to be Tridley going to go down early as he tries to get these sense babes out? Because he's on low HP, it's only take 1 round from anybody, as Monty trying to get into medical here, trying to take the space. It just seems like they're stalling out a little bit, Puffo.
Yeah, they're stalling out, but again, hopefully Cameron, they catch up to this clock, because even though you can hold all the vertical angles you want to, the defenders, they just need to hold, what, 2-3 doorways, and you have no way of getting the plant down.
And Cameron really taking us back to the 30-second meta as they're really taking their time to try and find a gap here. They've got medical sensed off. The smoke babes are coming out as well. And remember, there's still Goyos in play too. So Buster's having a really tough time trying to get in. But get in he does. And I don't think they know about it, Puffo.
Smoke Babe a bit too late. Buster can surely stick to this.
He's not in it.
He takes no damage. A shutdown by Jex, but it's a bit too late. Post-plan initiated. And now Cameron, they can just play the high game. In the meanwhile, though, these smokes are going to be perfect for Jex. He's potentially going to try and stick it, although doubles down. Sneak is going to find Hava. Now it's Tridley taking a couple of shots. The DMR Merchant is going to claim at least his one. Now Nifsu approaching it, but again, he's going to be shot from above like an angel of death. Kari brings it down to the final 2 on Panahune as they've realized this is far too much for them to handle, and with the time remaining, it might just be a round for Cameron.
it's so unfortunate that Jegs must have not heard the Monty walk in as Sneak finds the toes of Lambe to close the round out. You saw Smoke poised and ready with the Toxic Babe in hand. He's just had to throw it, Puffo. You saw the HP of the Monty dropping once the smoke did bloom. And unfortunately for Panahune, that's a round they're going to look back on not so fondly, because Buster somehow managing to stick that kit has just made it an impossible retake situation for Panahune.
Now, Amguns, do remind me again, is this attacker or defender sided?
This is a very defender-sided map, coming from the most recent T1 event and from the T2 qualifiers for this event, and I'm not surprised at all that we see the Monty getting banned out from Panahune. I think that's been pretty much the key reason Cameron has been having such successful attacks. They've just been able to push back Panahune with the Monty, so now that he's off the board, Cameron's attacks going to suffer? Because if the map statistics are anything to go off, Puffo, that should be all the attacking rounds Cameroon deserve.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's quite crazy that a Monty could potentially be the major reason as to why Panahune are now going to snipe 3 rounds out of nowhere. We're going to have to see it. Cameron are still willing to play the shields. We see Buster on the... Oh my god, is that a Kali in the big 2026?
She's getting buffed, Puffer. You got to remember, it's in the patch notes. She's very recently going to have a faster fire rate. She's going to be able to fire her lances while ADS'd as well. So what better time than to hop on the Kali? Also, Sneak is like 6-1. He is just like carrying the team. So I think he's earned the right to play what he wants at this point.
Dude's missing good COD days where he could sniper trick shot around the field. Honestly, I respect it. And again, I'm actually really looking forward to that Kali buff. Just like we saw it, right? The new Amai buff, it absolutely boosted him. I mean, he's being banned in tier 1. What does that say about him, right? As for the Kali, getting, what is it, a 4 times and an 8 times scope, right?
Yeah, reducing the magnification on both of the sides.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And again, I think Kali's utility is great. So as much as we won't be seeing her in this round, sadly, you know what? For the future, we're going to save that for a later date. As for now, though, Panahune are going to slowly start to have to put on their big boy pants to catch up to Cameron and potentially even dethrone them.
And this is one of those things where, again, the Goyo's been banned out for Panahune as well, so they can't rely on as much stall as they did before. So now they don't have to go on the board, they're going to need to try and contest this map control a little bit more, waste a little bit more of that time. As you can see, Cameron going for a very similar take to what they did before. They're going to go horizontally across, clear these roamers out, and that's where Sneak on the Deimos, he's going to be vital to that. Any of these roamers, you can see the Thorn getting aggressive, but Twitch is just in, Puffer.
You go rock their world. F2 in hand. He's just seeking for a victim. There's one barricade right in front of him. Nikes falls. A flick to the left. He's going to find Nifsu as well. All crumbling Cameron have entered the site. Lambe returning the fire, but it's onto the wrong player. Jack stepping in. He's going to eliminate the Deimos out of the competition for equilibrium on the man count, but Cameron's damage, it might be too far.
And now the defenders and attackers have switched roles. It's now a scramble to try and retake the site, and they've got this blitz to contend with. It's basically attackers versus defenders in the wrong way round as that plant goes down.
Oh, how it's all turned on its head. Eli's confused now. He's found himself too, but it's just too much sauce to handle. 35, he goes down. Halva is going to finish him off. He's done more than enough for his team. Now, it's just a time-wasted game for these 2 final Cameron players, and Urkari does not have a lot of HP to work with, especially when he's up against Halva, the Demon, and Jags alongside with him. A Thorn behind, and Lambe for the finishing shot. Panahune, they're going to bring this one to equal.
And it was such a good play from the Twitch, but unfortunately from the side of Cameron, they weren't able to capitalize on it. It's Lambe and Jegs, the hero of that round, as they managed to respond and respond well, as they managed to find the Twitch and one other to equalize the man count. Became a 3v3 post plant, but then that defender utility, those Thorn gadgets, making it so Cameron didn't have anywhere safe to play the post plant, and that's been allowing Panahune to be aggressive again, retake the site. As Panahune, if they needed a round after that 3rd round where they let the plant go down to get their confidence back, that would have been it.
I still can't believe what a rat Sneak is, and honestly, I commend him for it. This is the 2nd time he's been able to sneak into the site in the early part of the round without being noticed. I mean, honestly, he's got 2 more rounds, and I'm hoping we get to see it again. But as for now, right now, heading to the 2nd upstairs side, it's going to be dorms, it's going to be games. We have seen Panahune on here before, but it's going to be one of the fewer, if not one of the last times within this half they get a chance to defend here.
And I like the addition of the mirror. We've not seen it in this game so far, so the mirror is going to be a new challenge that Cameron are going to have to encounter. Last time they attacked this bomb site, it wasn't on the board, as well as the usual
10
stall.
seconds
The
left
lineup
before
is basically
insertion.
the same as it was previously, except for the addition of the mirror. So it's a
5
nice
seconds
adaptation coming in from the side of Panahune. They're going to stick with the Ella. I don't doubt him at all. And as you can see in the replay, it was actually Eli Puffo that managed to sneak his way in. But you can see Jegs hitting some nutty shots as Cameron tried to scramble to get themselves into the objective. But now the main question is, now that we're into this 5th round, we don't have any direct counters on the board, Puffo, against this mirror.
No, we really don't. Again, you could try pushing Tridley onto that bottom floor and use the 3rd concuss, or rather impact nade that now the Zofia has to instantly kill the mirror, which has been quite commonly used here in recent T1 events and of course T2 alike. But overall though, Cameron have a couple of their own stronghold operators that necessarily can't be countered.
They do indeed, and I'm looking at the Ying. The Ying is going to be a key execute component of this attack.
He's aching for it. Sadly, I don't think we're going to see it right now. Eli throwing a couple of Yin Candelas. Nifsu going to pick off Tridley. And in the meanwhile, Buster just showing his nice and lovely face. In the meanwhile, though, getting absolutely bullied. Panahune, they are absolutely tearing Cameron apart. And the last man is ironically the Shield, who should be the spearhead, yet persists, but not for much longer.
I really like what Cameron have tried to do. They've been going very methodical, very relaxed, round after round, and they decided, let's try and switch it up. Let's try and go fast. Let's try and bring out a little bit of a pocket strat from our playbook with the Ying, with the Blitz, with the Aurora, try and close off some of these key angles. Unfortunately, Panahune, they were ready. They had all of the key utility in place, the smoke to deny the fast push, the C4s finding their mark. They must have thought these Candelas are coming out, something fast is going to hit us. Let's be good and ready to defend this and make sure we can repel this fast attack. So a great read coming in from Panahune as they've finally taken advantage in this game. And will they be able to seize that clinical 4-2 split on the defense?
I mean, they're going to have to if they want a comfortable second half, but look at the drastic change now that the Monty's gone. Quite ironic, isn't it? But again, Cameron, we have one more round to prove it. But even then, they've already successfully fulfilled the 4-2 quota, if you may. Although, again, Panahune, they are so deliberate once they start working in coalition. That being a flawless round off of just an opening kill would set off that chain reaction of the entirety of Cameron being set to dust still baffles me.
And last time we were on this objective, it was the use of the Thatcher that let the bomb go down. That was the key thing from the last round, Puffer, that we didn't highlight before, was the reason the smoke wasn't able to deny it is that of the Thatcher behind the Monty when he planted. Him now being able to see stuff as it's thrown at you and being able to disable it early is what let that bomb go down. However, this time around, there's no Thatcher on the board. So Cameron should have a little bit more difficult time getting that bomb down when they do get knocking on the door to the site, especially with Monty not available. You don't quite get the same turtle plant with the Blitz.
No, you really don't. You know, and again, the Blitz seems to be a good secondary option. Wondering why maybe the Blackbeard wasn't potentially picked up, but again, I'm imagining it's a matter of conference. Although Buster, you know, we take a look at the results of how everyone's been doing. Himself and Arkari, again, they are phenomenal players. I'm hoping they're going to be able to present that KD results-wise. Even though Siege tends to be strategic, you know, and in his court, still a shooter. And Nifsu, he's going to be showing us exactly why. Sneak now, the hot hand of Cameron, and the demo's gone, thanks to Nifsu putting his shots in. In the meanwhile, though, Lamb, he's going to find a potentially perfect swing, but almost punished for now, though, just a slap on the wrist. It seems like there will be a chase up behind them, though. Lamb is trying to keep himself alive, and as Panahune are charging to his rescue, this might cause quite a spark between the two teams. Booster's looking for it. Tridley's going to find Nipsu, leaving with the defense without the yellow. Good play on to Booster, but again, there's just too much to handle. Jack's finally arriving to the scene, at least bringing a bit of balance between the two, but it's Eli stepping, finding that counterfeit, and now two players by Panahune spread vast, far away, but still looking for picks.
And this is the ghost pressure that Cameroon created early. You saw Eli opening some castles up. You saw the Grim Tridley opening up the breaches as well. They had so many different avenues to be able to capitalize off the situation they find themselves in. That gave them lots of avenues to be able to clear this extension on the ground floor, and is what's given them an advantage situation. They have lost the shield, but again, the smokes that were so pivotal, almost pivotal, in the last round, they've been lost as well. There's all the way down to Nikki and the Soulless to be able to try and make something happen. Not very much plant denial either, only those two impacts, but one of those will be enough to finish off Tridley.
Denying you advancing, Guava gonna catch Eli with his pants down, or rather impacts out. Should have brought the gun to the table, but now Cameron endangered once more. Panahune showing that individuality they also bring to the table. As much as we have been commending their team chemistry, again, each one of these players cannot be scoffed at. The defenders also have that upper floor. Again, the Solus might be great. The plant is going down by Tridley, and one has slipped by Urkari. He's going to find a down one of the players, but not fully out. Panahune and Cameron both still in the game, but forced into a 1v1. Urkari going to reload. However, right around the corner, there's no information. They can tend to go for pre-fires, but you need to look in the wrong direction. Urkari, he's going to take a slither of damage. Now Hava's going to try and contest him. Urkari once more looks away, his back turned, and the round lost for the attackers as Panahune with a 4-2 split as intended.
And that's going to be 3 rounds back-to-back as well for Panahune. So after a little bit of a shaky start, remember it was a 2-1 split at the half of the defense. They got 3 rounds back-to-back to save the 4-2 half, which is great news for Panahune and their confidence. We hear T1 casters talk about it all the time. It applies here at T2 as well. The confidence of your team is a huge thing. Now you have that 2-round buffer that you have over your opponents. It's going to be huge in that if you just trade rounds back and forth, you're going to end up winning the game. You'll get a 5-3. As long as you can take that first attacking round, it sets you up so nicely. As the Glaz coming out again, Puffo, we're getting some real different bands here in this game.
I'll be honest, Glaz is terrifying on this map, all right? You put him on Old Tower and a Monty in front, or even a Blitz and a Shield, or potentially the Glaz even on the Old Tower window. The fact that you can just clear out an entire hallway that is right next to site and gives you so many opportunities to push into games and then find yourself an easy plant, the Glaz allows that. And again, I think that's why he's so feared on this map. Maybe he's not, in general, one of the most banned operators, but this map does him justice.
It is indeed, and I love to see the smoke ban coming out from Panahune as well. As you saw Panahune use, there is some very specific plant spots on a couple of the different objectives, and because those are the default plants, those are the safest places to plant. It means smoke can very reliably hit those and deny those plants. And now that he's not available, it's the same logic as when the Goyo was banned. It means you have to fight for map control a little bit more. You can't be as reserved in your defense because you don't have that stall left to target those planting operators, such as the shields. We're going to see the Monty getting banned out, and Panahune, interestingly enough, they haven't elected to go for any shield, which might be the detriment of them, because we've just seen how effective shields can be, especially that Monty, which has been banned out.
Oh yeah, 100%. What they did end up opting for instead, it's that Tower Stay, which I'm very heavily looking forward to. Potentially, you know, only second in some degree to roam clearage to the Deimos, but again, that can be debated. Either way, though, let's actually see them more in action. Jack's already going to pull out that scanner, the radio, now, rather, just trying to track any nearby defenders. We'll end up spotting Urkari and potentially looking to hunt him down. Hopefully, though, not alone, because Cameron, they have 2 players surrounding this one window around Jags, and he realizes that. Again, it's that intuition that the player brings to the table. Urkari utilizing his secondary shotgun, if you may, and for now, the defenders just stalling him back.
This is very much a similar take to Cameron from the side of Panahune. They're going for that cross clear. They're just applying a little bit of ghost pressure in the form of Jegs with that snake. See if we can try and sneak in early, but the main bulk of this force is going to be this cross take, as it's pretty much uncontested. As you can see from the overhead, as Nifsu walks in and finds one, Eusta's there for the trade, as Nifsu keeps tagging him up. Might be able to find a second.
Just got so close, but for the benefit, Panahune, in the meanwhile, they found themselves that so needed ground. It's games, dormitory, all of it is now taken for the attackers, so although they do end up losing the Twitch, that's fine. In the meanwhile, though, Jags, he's going to advance forward, get rid of another gun from Cameron, and leave it in a 4v3 of pre-fire here. Nikis could change the game, but again, he can't afford to fall. He has the diffuser, and we've seen what happens when the defenders hold on to it. Tridley, he's looking to go for a swing of his own. Eusta ready, nade right beneath his feet. He might have to move positions, get into the danger zone, but for now, he has a bit of coverage left.
He's done well to dodge the nade as the action keeps continuing as they're scrambling the defense to try and find some way to equalize this. Panu done a great job of spreading themselves around as Nikkei finds another and is now getting desperate for the side of Cameron.
You talked about that first round being so pivotal for Panahune, and I think they're just as much wanting to get it as you were talking about its importance. Lambe, though, gets absolutely eliminated. Urkari's going to shut him up on that long shot. Tridley, in the meanwhile, he's pushing forward with a secondary shotgun. What the hell are we doing? Nipsu falls. It's down to a 1v2, and if Urkari can secure Jags, this could still be potential. Nipsu just around the corner of being finished. Urkari might have spotted an opportunity, but he is out-angled, and Panahune now 3 rounds ahead.
And this is just great patience from Panahune. They've just spread themselves out. They took that cross control, and after they got it, they realized, look, we don't want to be a one-dimensional team. We want to be able to get into the towers. We want to be able to spread the pressure around. And it was just too much for Cameron to handle. They got caught off in those rotations when they're trying to get to safe places on the defense, and that's just allowed Panahune to find these picks one after the other. That situation they put themselves in, even in the 1v2 Puffo, it was a great little crossfire using the downed player as bait almost. Yella did have information on both, but wasn't able to capitalize, as Panahune just doing a great job of capitalizing on the round. Because sometimes, Puffo, we've seen Panahune, they can start to get a little bit shaky in some of these advantage situations, so I'm very happy to see that they closed it out with some confidence.
Yeah, there we go. They just clenched it all up and didn't want to risk a potential fight situation for Cameron, which, again, a 4-3 is much more different than a 5-2 round count. So you really want to be careful. And you know what, Panahune, they still pay their own fair share of respect to Cameron, who, even though they're not an officially established organization nor team, more of a pub stack, but just filled with insane players. Yeah, that's mostly what makes them so scary. Whatever the case, though, great lead for Panahune. Cameron, though, their response can't be too late because the attacking side is slowly starting to get quite close to that match point.
And the big thing is a very different approach coming in between these two teams. You saw Panahune, they shifted the site every round, pretty much win or lose. They were stuck to the rotation, they went 1-2-3, 1-2-3, whether they won or lost, whereas Cameron have gone a slightly different approach. They just lost this site in quite a convincing way and have opted to go for it straight again. This basically gives Panahune another shot to crack the site in the same way, unless there's some big adaptations coming in from Cameron. If we look at the lineup, it's very identical, Puffo. So on the side of Cameron, I think they're just thinking, you know, we just misplayed it. We can go back there. It's not a problem. Whereas Panahune are going to be thinking, great, we can just crack it the same way we just did.
Yeah, of course. Again, don't fix what's not broken. In the meanwhile, though, Nick, as he is prepping those Yin Candelas, boosters will be on the receiving end. Hopefully the Shamika is going to be of the supporting line, or the Tachanka to run away, because I think me and you both know, Amguns, how important the Tachanka will be later on.
He will be huge as the Yin Candelas come out. Will he find himself caught as the Yin Shotgun looking to apply some pressure? And I love the fact that Lifsu's doubled down on the flashbang potential. As do they know he's tucked up on the left? Oh. The C4 is huge, as will the Blitz follow suit?
That's beautiful, Eli. I don't know. Blitz is making himself quite open, I'll be honest. Jax, in the meanwhile, he's taking a bit of damage himself, but User, he's sending that fire, even lighting himself up. But Okari picks up Alva, and Panahune not in the best spot. That's going to be a razor boom dealing hefty amounts of damage. And Cameron are just piecing Panahune apart. Two players now seeking for any retribution, but it does not seem to be coming their way. It's actually quite the opposite, because Shridley is ending up in fashion. A Dimar merchant maybe, but he can still work that pistol quite well.
And it's very interesting that both teams have tried to switch the pace, go for that much more aggressive approach. As you saw that combination of the Ying and the Blitz not quite being timed the same way. You saw the Thorn being a vital piece of utility to stop the Thorn pushing up. Stop the Blitz pushing up when trading his teammate. And it's really well played from Cameron. I really like the C4 trap that they had on the Tachanka. They've almost used him as bait, but instead of just letting him die and trade the kills, they've managed to keep him alive as well, which has been huge to give them that little bit of a comeback. But as we said earlier, Puffo, because Panahune won that first round, they maintain that 2-round buffer. This is going to be a pivotal point in the game. If Panahune take a 6-3 split right here, right now, even if Cameron get their act together, there's such a margin. I think Panahune are going to be able to take the game.
Is it just me, or Cameron really allergic to the other upper floor site? Like, they will rather go for the tertiary objective, which I'm all down to see. Again, nothing against it, but it's quite a rare oddity if we may, even though, again, the previous round didn't go all too well for the attacker, so I'm wondering what they're going to be bringing to the table. And for a second I saw Lamb on 0, kind of gave me a heart attack, but thankfully we're not sticking to that.
It's not an operator you see every day, Puffo, but it could just be that Cameron, they want to throw Panahune a curveball. Panahune might have been setting up their operators to attack that second top floor site, and now that they've realized the bomb site is below, obviously it causes a bit of a switch up. You saw the lineup change big time from the side of Panahune, and that's probably realizing, oh shoot, they've gone downstairs. We need to change the lineup, we need to adjust things here a little bit. And the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is there's not a lot of vert in the side of Panahune here. It's only one set of breaching charges where when Cameron attacked, they had the Thatcher and the Nomad with those breaches. However, look at the amount of flashbangs and smokes we have, Buffo. When it does come time to execute, I want to see the kitchen sink being thrown in and some aggression from Panahune when they try and get that bomb down.
Yeah, Cameron, we really mean it when we say Tridley and Urkari need to stay alive for that execution with the amount of utility that's just going to get chucked in the way of these defenders. Either way, though, good progression by DKs. He's going to find an opening, not kill-wise, but rather just Selma's chucked breach open. It's good first steps into the building, if you may. Buster finding himself under a Jago payload, and currently Hamam just pushed out by two players, Hava and Nifsu, clearing out the spaces. Cameron, opposed to Panahune on their defense, not really trying to contest them.
And as you can see, this Solus is going to be huge. She's basically uncontested on the vert here. So when this bomb does go down, she's going to have full info on where it's going to be going down. She can even call out to Eli and say, just look, just shotgun to the floor right here. But this is where Nifsu with the shield, if he can plant at the right angle, that shield might just protect him enough. There you go. Sneak already opening up lines of sight, but Nikke finds him from below, but the trade is there. But that's your Solus off the board, and Nikke's already used his ace charges. So is it a fair trade? I think the attack edges it out over there.
Yeah, but, you know, Cameron's still showing, like, they can read each other's minds. Even though Sneak falls after his vertical isn't successful, Eli's instantly to chase up for a refrag and gets it successfully due to Panahune not imagining a second player would swing from the exact same impact hole. But, well, wrong for that. Ace now gone. Nifsu pushing upstairs to challenge Cameron for this upper floor. And Eli, he's got a C4 in his pocket. I don't think he's afraid to use it, but an SMG-11 could serve him well, just barely escaping the grasp of Jax right behind that shield player. And in the meanwhile, there's still going to be plenty of trouble down here as he tries to descend. Lamb around the corner, distracted, and Urkari getting that perfect split moment to take him out.
And that's a little bit of a misplay coming from Panahune. Did they really need to clear this guy above? They thought so, but it's going to be to their detriment as the C4 goes out. Won't find its mark, but now that Panahune are a player down, they have to be the ones to take the initiative. We've got to use that blitz to make something happen here as the clock starts ticking, Puffo.
I don't know, still two more C4s just rushing inside. Do they know about the defender that's right there? No, Eli goes dismissed, although taken out eventually. And as much of a bloodbath it is, it's between the shield, it's between Tridley. He can't find his shot, and now it's down to the 5 seconds. Nifsu with a flick of the wrist and Panahune on match point.
And it's just the panic coming in from the Wamai as he switches to the shotgun. And he's probably realized in that moment, this is probably not the weapon I want. But it's just a case of Panahune. They did exactly that. They took the fight to Cameron. The blitz causing absolute carnage in the bomb site. And it just became a bloodbath. And Panahune with the blitz just edging it out. Just over the line. And what a devastating round for Cameron that must be.
It must be. It was to some degree close. We've seen now 2v1, two 1v1s within this matchup, and I was quite scared when I saw Eli around the vending machine, although flashed, almost finding himself a glorious double piece, but again, the reaction from Panahune is just on the spot, so they instantly refrag him. And in the end, this is also a time where we have to feel bad for Tridley, because he has been that super shorty has not done him a lot of good going into 2 gunfights now, or rather has potentially lost him 2 rounds.
Yeah, but the super shorty man is not known for being a person v person weapon. It's more of a PvE weapon, if we can even say that in Siege here. It's more, you know, set up the environment, get those rotates going. It's just something that it's not going to be your best friend when you look to try and engage somebody with it. But Cameron, now being on match point down, is this going to kick him into gear, Puffer?
We're taking a look at this one. Just for a moment, we can glance back at that instant refrag. And of course, this previous round, I mean, handguns, it's so detrimental because we see just the min-maxing by Panahune overall. There's so many small mistakes. Like, incredibly small mistakes. But overall, this is what separates a normal T2 team and the tier 2 teams that we are currently being presented with. They can make a small gap of a mistake into a mile of a hole.
It is, and it's just one of those things where Cameron, they've just been on the wrong side of that, unfortunately. His default cam's still up, by the way, so hopefully that gets shot out. But as you can see, Cameron, they've just been, as you said, just on the wrong side of these small mistakes. Because it very easily could be that Panahune managed to capitalize, fall victim to those mistakes as well. But they're managing to keep it together, use that aggression to get the rounds over the line.
I'll be honest, you know what? I'm going to put you on the spot. Lambe is playing a Bravo. besides the Gersmots, do you think they really picked the operator simply just for main counts?
I think that we saw the Malusi the last time around, especially on this bomb site. It was one of those things that definitely slowed down Nifsu from taking space. So there's been an adaptation from the defense this time around. So I think Lambe's read into the round previously and been like, oh, we could use the Brava to really counter what the defense was bringing. However, there is just not very much utility this time around to actually use the Brava on.
So, sadly for Lambe, you know what? He tried to do his best, but you know what? I'm still imagining he's going to find value. Either that or through his gun. He's been doing quite fair. And it also shows there's not really a major kill leader inside this match. While the players tend to be falling behind KD-wise, everyone is mostly holding their own weight. And you know what? I tend to appreciate a bit of equality.
It's been a very even game from both sets of players, Pepper Bob, and that's what made this game so exciting to watch. But Jegs getting caught out from the hatch is not a great way to start, as that's your Capital as well, Puffo. There's so much utility you've just lost there.
Yeah, and if Cameroon want to keep themselves alive, keep in mind this is a best of one. They cannot let these opening picks slip by. Sneak is going to fall, but Nifsu, he is on his tippy toes HP-wise. He carries the diffuser as well. Buster, though, alone. He's isolated and potentially will be surrounded at any second if he does not pay attention to his surroundings. Oh, in the meanwhile, though, Lambe, I think he's just going to try and catch this kid off guard who has left the premises in the meanwhile.
And it's a very smart decision from the side of Buster to just keep himself alive, keep another gun alive, just tuck into a corner somewhere and make it difficult for the side of Panone. Sorry, you can see Cameron, they've just tucked themselves into sight, that medic bay being a huge part of the map to take as well. However, it is 4v4. We have got Nifsu knocking on the door to sight, getting ready to chuck that kitchen sink into the site and get this attack going.
Yeah, Cameron still 2 C4s in their pocket. Tridley now in a corner, finding an impact and enough to take out Nifsu. Rather, Nikes in the meanwhile is going to find Buster. A second one for the ace, and now they need to start sticking down this defense. But Curry, he's going to find himself a real good chuck in 3 seconds remaining. However, there is no way you're walking away from this alive. Cameron now slowly catching up.
And this is really well played from Cameron. They understand that although the entry is being made into the site itself, there's no need to panic. It's a 2v2 situation. We're on the defense. Panone need to get that kit down. Obviously, Ace walking headfirst into the C4 was not what Panone wanted. And that's just really well played from Cameron. They understand, look, we can just chill. We're going to defend the bomb site, put the pressure on the attack. There's only, 10 seconds left on the clock. So you saw Panone absolutely scrambling. But obviously this time around, that was a much more favourable advantage for the defense. So a great job from Cameroon. But will it be enough to get the comeback if they can keep playing this way?
Attackers
If
need
they
to
keep playing
locate and
this way, I
defuse
think
bombs.
so. Again, I am liking the mild expression of aggression incoming from Cameron. This time they pushed up. They tried to contest early on. They found themselves an opening. Even though it was returned, that consistency was somewhat kept. And when they realized they already acquired what they wanted, they stepped back into sight, they played the time game, they went 2v1, C4s flying left, right, and center, bada boom, bada beam, round is theirs, but they need 2 more ambros, just 2 more.
Just 2 more to send us into overtime. It'd be very juicy if we can get an overtime in our first game. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. And I love that Panahune, they don't have the Blitz this time round. They've got something arguably worse, Puffo. They've got the Blackbeard in play to just be even more aggressive if that's what they want to do.
Eli is playing with his life currently on the line, if you may. Although no attacker seems to be coming across his line of sight. As for now, Panahune, they're going to try and pivot towards this old tower side. Tridley, in the meanwhile, the man has been the sole player within this lobby to find double digits, although the first player to find a bit of damage towards his direction.
Just a little bit of damage, just tickling him left and right a little bit. But as you can see, Panone, they're taking their sweet time to make sure they set this up properly. They want to get that breach open. That's where the hard breach Thatcher combination, still strong as ever, will hopefully make it very easy for this breach to get open. The key thing to notice there is that the Tabaro only has 3. It won't even make a difference because the Twitch just got rid of the Cade anyway. But say Tabaro did have a chance to use it, he'd only have 3 canisters in play, whereas we do have 5 Thatchers available.
100%. The attackers starting to show themselves a bit more. Lamb gonna have to be careful with his life. We've seen the impact a Capital can have in that execution. As for now, though, 5 players on each side still, even though there's been early aggression in the previous sentiments. Currently, both teams are healthy and surviving, and once more, Panahune are going to need to make a move sooner than later.
And as they start to push through Old Tower here, this is going to be the key moment of the attack. Can they clear some of these players out of this Old Tower area? They struggled to do it before because of the fire. With the fire going both ways here to try and force this Tachanka back. And will Booster be able to replicate the success he had previously?
Oh, he's just gonna find Jags' back turn to him in the meanwhile. He swings for another, but it's over ambitious. It's Nifsu, his shield blocking a lot of that damage. Lambe in the meanwhile on that backup supporting line. And again, the case ready to go into the side. Good nade. It's gonna flush out this defender. Ali turns his back to the wrong player. Nifsu with a second inside this round. And now Cameron endangered.
And it's one of those things where we've got such a man advantage. We've worked so patiently for it. We just need to make the most of it. Akari's holding a really nice cross, and that's going to be the main roadblock to get them into sight. So with 50 seconds left, what utility do we have left in the tank to force our way into sight?
Tridley, he's gonna burn. Lambe using that last ball to make sure that it's worth it. Akari, just a couple of pop shots. He's running through it. What are we doing?
Oh no.
But it's too late.
No.
He barely survives that. In the meanwhile, though, the final 2 players, Lambe and Halva by Panahune, will step up to close the round in smooth fashion. And the series, rather just this game, it's a 7-4 finish. Panahune will be the first victors of Voltage League Season 7.
And what a game it was, Puffo. It's really well played from Panahune. And I think the best thing to highlight here from that game is going to be the patience on show. You saw when they had the advantage, they just played patiently. They made sure they did it by the book. They did not want to give the side of Cameron any chance of getting back into that game.
Yeah, and as we see, we are all 3 back on the desk after a banger of a match. I had to drop my jacket because, damn, it was hot in there in the very last round there with these firebolts of the Capita. Capita, one of my most favorite operators to bring in comp, because it is an operator that you use so widely. It is so versatile. It is so dangerous. And indeed, if you don't watch yourself, you're not aware of how long these flames can burn, you're done and dusted quicker than you know it. And with that being said, great start for Voltage. Banger match, 7-4. Not as tight as I thought it might be, but we named it earlier. Cameron will have a saying in this match, but most likely Panahune will run away with a win. So, anticipated from the scoreline, I think it's a very okay match. Cameron has indeed a little bit to go back on the drawing board to check up. But the same also counts for Panahune. I think you both named it multiple times that the team did play the same schemes that we know from them. They played aggressive, they played very combined as a team, but yet indeed they always have a few smaller leaks, like smaller problems or like things where they anticipate to do something, but they fail doing it in the right moment. They lack of being on time sometimes. They lack of having the right call in place where they need to. They always also have a few moments where you see that they need to move or switch positions with each other, but they don't make it in the right moment. And then when they intend to do so, it's a second or 2 late, because then there's a C4 drop or there's a rotation from another guy in the opponent's team. And that is the fewer, smaller, minor things that split a Panahune, in my eyes, from being a very great T2 teams to be among the top competitors into T1. That's the only difference. The team is playing awesome, the team is playing great together as a unit, but like, these minor mistakes that they have sometimes, these minor things that split you from perfection, is the thing that you need, that's the gap that they need to close to be a T1 team in my eyes.
I think you're completely right there, Mighty. And Puffer Bob, if I just give you some updates on what's happening in the rest of Swiss, because luckily we do have that available. We have a couple of games that we're just waiting on finish, or waiting to finish, and both of them have gone to overtime. So Lenovo and Trollers, they're currently 7-7. And then what would you expect? Team Faith have taken Good Intentions all the way to OT and are currently winning 7-6. So that's not a scoreline I thought we would see today.
Wait, really? Are we talking about the same Good Intentions?
Yes,
they're
we do.
Currently
we do.
A round down.
Oh, okay. No, never mind. I can see the roster from Team Faith. I wouldn't expect overtime, but you know what? Even more commiserations to Faith. All respect to them if they're going overtime with one of the best in Tier 2 EU.
Yeah. In general, you need to name it out. Team Faith is a run-up team, a team that originally didn't make it through the qualifiers, but as a team had to drop their place, their spot in this tournament. They got a second invite. They said, you were the top best team afterwards to come in, and you will be granted a spot to show what you can, and they definitely deliver on this very first playday. If they win or not, we will find out that very soon, but it's indeed else. We have the high hitters, the top fraggers that I called up, the top 4. Kokozi and Maestraska both winning their first game 7-5. So that also was anticipated, the same as Panahone. The 2 teams that we still have to see how they make it is Good Intentions that we just spoke about, but also Honved. Honved is also still going in overtime against Trollers, a mid-tier team from the qualifiers. So that also is a very interesting match, as Honved was the first tier pick after the qualifiers. So how these games are going to go and how they will end up, we will soon find out. But, as I mentioned soon, we will head to a very quick break before we head in to the second round of Swiss.
The next station is Osaka.
Live anti-cheats miss things, forensic scans do not. With Detect.ac, you can catch cheaters yourself without any forensic knowledge required. Think of it as a full system virus scan, but built specifically for cheats, bypasses, and anti-forensic methods. Our scanner detects everything from private bypass methods to mainstream cheats using deep forensic analysis across the entire system. Start a session, send your suspect a download link, and watch the live updates come in. Once the scan finishes, review the logs and take action with confidence. Use Detect.ac and remove cheaters with proof, not guesswork.
And so, after a very quick and short break, we are back with the next match coming up very soon. We are in the second round of Swiss here in Season 7 of Voltage League. We had a banger match of Panahoone against Cameron on Fortress, ending up with a 7-4 win for the guys of Panahoone. The Finns prevailed themselves and went up one chapter in the next round. They went into the 1-0 bracket, and we'll have to face Kokosi next. But when we talk about the bracket, and we talk about how these teams have been playing so far, the teams that made it through with a win the first round are the teams of Panahoone and Kokosi. They will face up each other right now. Then we have Lenovo, Legion, Honved, and G1.5. Good Intentions, Fans of Addicts, Maestro Eska, and Turks all winning their very first match. Even though we had a few of those matches that were a little bit tighter than we all thought it will be. On the other hand, the teams that lost, unfortunately, are Myth Esports, its own esports, is Cameron, Deja Vu, Trollers, MDS, Valid, Unit, and Team Faith GG. We spoke about it a little bit in the, I would say, on the backstage, behind the scenes. We also talked about which match we're going to see right now in the second round of Swiss. And we got to choose. Guns. Which matchup did we choose?
We are going to go for the Honved G1.5 game. That's the game we're going to go with. It's our second tiered round or game, if that makes sense. So obviously, because this is Swiss, after the seeding has taken place, we will be choosing the G1.5 versus Honved. Sorry, mind blank there. Yeah. And that's going to be a banging game, hopefully. So, Puffer Bob, obviously we've seen both of these teams play before. How do you think it's going to go down?
As much as I don't want a repeat of the previous match, I think it's going to be the storyline is similar to Panahoone versus Cameron. It's, again, teams that have an equal amount of caliber, skilled players heading into the game, but LLH, they're a bit more formed. They've been together for longer than G1.5, whatever that's supposed to be abbreviating for. But you know what? As much as I don't want it to be the same, I would imagine it to be. So I don't know what about you. What do you think, Mighty? We haven't asked you a question yet.
I think Brother has read the script. I'm not sure, but I think Brother has read the script. Might he have been a little bit before Milos on the previous event and stole the script? That's the reason why they didn't read it? I don't know. We will find out very soon. But yes, indeed, we will be covering Legion Lenovo 100 against G1.5. And indeed, it is here also a matter of best of ones. For a best of one, we indeed also need a map. So let's swap over to the map ends.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Just like previously, you know what? I'm happy. I'm gonna, you know what? As much as we get to see the map again, it's Fortress, and we are still babies to this map, so we can enjoy this freshness while we still can.
I really enjoy the new maps, Puffo, and I love how in recent times Ubisoft has made the decision that you have to play the new maps in ranked. I think it's a great thing for the game because people actually get to experience the maps, and especially from a Pro League perspective, you can't just ban it outright. Like, there's no grace period. You have to learn it immediately. And I think because a lot of the pros are learning the maps immediately, it means the rest of the player base doesn't immediately think, oh, the map is garbage because it's new. So the fact that we've seen Fortress evolve and become really popular in recent times, it being the joint 5th most popular map from the qualifiers, I think it's great to see. It's nuts that both of our games back-to-back have gone to Fortress. Would have been nice to see something else, but I'm really stoked to see, Puffo, how these teams might play the map differently to the first game that we just watched.
Yeah. You know, again, we've seen Fortress, but we want something new. Either way, though, it's going to be a matter of time because, again, LLH, G1.5, similarly to Panahune and Cameron, we haven't seen them for a good moment.
Yeah. And indeed, as you both spoke about, you have seen the map once priorly. You have seen what this map can bring, what the teams bring on it, which operator bands are the most usual, and why these are that in that case. But in general, maybe these teams play a little bit different. As we know for a fact, and we also saw, Panahone is a team that pushes so much aggression, so much high-paced gameplay in these maps from their side, and they're very hard to counter. Even though they have a few points where they lack a little bit here and there, but yet indeed they always seem to prevail and put on the pressure on their opponent. I'm a little bit stoked to see which of the two teams that we will see right now will indeed try to do the same thing if they will succeed while doing so. As we know for a fact, LLH has been around for a long time in that constellation. Meanwhile, also G1.5 is a relatively new roster, but also these players are more than capable of winning out rounds. We spoke about it in the previous matchup. Cameron, also a roster with a lot of big names, not been together that long, but yet also they had the striking points like to pinch the opponent and find loopholes to like slip in, get around for themselves, and then pretty much just get over the heads of Panahone for a brief moment there. Is that the case here the same for G1.5, or do you guys think that the Lenovo Legion will have the upper hand in this second matchup?
I think Lenovo definitely does have the upper hand. They were the top-ranked team coming in from the quals. They played 16 maps overall and had a great chance to secure that first-place victory. So they've got the most games under their belt in this particular tournament. So I think that experience together is just going to give them a little bit of an edge. But Buffer Bob, we love an underdog story sometimes. Although they've got the more maps, I think good at G1.5, equally capable team of making a comeback.
Equally capable, but just to, if we already didn't give enough credit to LLH, there are also the second team standing in for the qualification for the T2 Grand Finals. They are right behind Panahune, and again, they have been doing incredibly within 2026. Although, again, us casters love to be proven wrong when it comes down to underdogs, and underdog stories are always lovely to see.
Yeah, and another thing that's also lovely to see is that these teams bring their playstyle once and ever to the table. And of course, they all want to show themselves because it is not only this competition that goes on. It's not only this competition that will be going on for the new upcoming weeks. But Puffo, what are these teams bringing currently? Why are they bringing so much of themselves?
I mean, I want to talk about just in general what everything the perspective of tier 2 currently, right? You talk about what is being brought to the table. I want to see what will not be brought to the table, because I think some of these teams also have to preserve themselves. We take a look at a team like Panahune, who are definitely going to be scoping in for T2 Grand Finals. LLH, just about the same, because currently, people, we need to realize that there's like 6 things happening at once. We have South Breach, we have ELC, Voltage League, Benelux LAN, VACNAN, and then the T2 Grand Finals. The amount of things happening for the rest of this year is incredible, and we are here for it as we slowly start heading towards Fortress. And I mean, Amguns, we saw it once, we're bound to see it again.
I'm very curious to see how these teams approach the map. We've seen basically a very methodical style be very, very effective from our previous 2 games, and in both rounds, one of each team, when they tried to be aggressive, it didn't work out. So I really want to see if Honved or G1.5, if they can be aggressive and make it work. We saw last time around that it just didn't really work, but as we see from the bans, Buffo, the first ones being identical to what we saw previously.
You know what? It's fine. Again, Fortress has found its comfort zone, if you may, for teams. Of course, the Caden Bandit combo are quite tricky not to get rid of. As for the Monty, I just wonder what is going to get followed up, because this is the one thing that we did see a bit different in the previous game. It's going to be either the Solid Snake, is it going to be Grim, is it going to be God knows what, but for now, it's going to be Monty. And actually, not the Kate following the Bandit. That is something new.
And as we saw from the previous game, right, it was Booster that was on the Tachanka. He was getting amazing value out of the Lord himself. So the fact that G1.5 here have banned out the Tachanka, they clearly want to be able to have the patience and the time to develop their attack slowly and not get bitten by the fact that Tachanka can just burn off those doorways, stop that access into sight. Because as we saw Puffo, he has a ridiculous amount of burn. I think if you add up all of his canisters, it's nearly a minute 20's worth of burn time. And 1.5 just decided, not today, bro. We're not dealing with that. Let's just get it off the board. We'll deal with the smoke. The Tachanka is not something we want to deal with today.
Wrap it up. This is no Tachanka today. Maybe for the second half if LLH give us that courtesy, but again, that's for time to tell. And currently we are seeing a bit of a snippet as to what the lineups are going to be looking like, and honestly, nothing too out of the ordinary. Of course, if the Monty is banned, Blitz is going to be a really good secondary option, but it's time for round number 1. Sadly, it is going to be the last match of today, but of course, there's a whole week's amount of action right ahead of us, although we focus on G1.5, LLH going head-to-head, LLH starting on the defense, G15 on the attack.
And as we spoke about previously, the bans, very similar to what we were expecting. I think the very interesting thing I'm seeing from LLH is there's no Cade to borrow on the board. The Cade is available for LLH to play. So it's very interesting they're going for a very similar approach to what we saw in our previous game. They're looking to rely on their gun skill, go for a more frag-heavy approach rather than try and deny the walls. They have a lot of stall in their lineup as well. I love the combination of the Goyo, the Denari, and the Fenrir. There's just a lot of utility that is designed to give information and slow down the side of G1.5. So it's going to be very interesting to see how G1.5 respond to that information, especially the fact that there is a blitz on the board. That blitz isn't going to be able to just charge at his opponents because those Fenrirs, those Denaris, they're all going to be getting in the way. And while he's trying to clear them, or the rest of his team is trying to clear them as well, it's going to create a lot of noise and highlight to their opponents where the main push is coming from.
Luri showing all the random solo queue ranked players what should be done in your matches. Droning. Rotera is now sent forward by Reformed Solar, and he's reformed now. Reformed. He is no longer an Unk. He is back in his prime. But overall, good pre-drone placement. I like this one on Master Bedroom.
And Reformer, he's just trying to, or Solo we should say, is just opening up this soft wall. Obviously those feet holes are designed to create a one-way for the defense. If you can open this up all the way, it gives you an avenue into sight, better visibility as well, and very methodical, just like we saw in the previous game as well. These early Goyos just stalling out the attack, but with no damage being dealt, LLH are just chilling. They know where this push is coming from. It is a cross take, and you can see Azza, he's doing what we saw Jegs doing last time around. He's on being aggressive, trying to fight for this space, making G1.5 drone this again. And as you can see, that wall getting reinforced off, or almost reinforced off, is going to give this whole side of the map over to G1.5 so they can start using that space to set up their attack.
Yeah, it really is a no man's land. Well, it's the land of G15 now. Glock, in the meanwhile, is hoping to find himself a glimpse of an opening, but nothing presented just yet. Joker, quick on to potentially challenge anyone pushing towards right next to him, but we're seeing the Elevate skin, which has been quite beloved on the operators, or on the shield side of things.
And this hard line is where LLH will make their stand. Very similar to what we saw again, a very similar meta being played here. And G1.5, they just need to figure out, how do we get this breach open? What is our final execute going to look like? And keep an eye on that Flores for the backstab later on.
Double Selma stacked, breach going out, a bit of pressure applied LLH's way, but not a single
have
player
dropped the bomb
has made
diffuser.
contact
Attackers
with
recovered
another
the
on
bomb
the opposing
diffuser.
team just yet. Droning incoming, Rooney gonna send himself forward, that's Blitz being the spearhead, but for now, again, I like that G15 are taking their sweet and precious time.
And it's all about the plant denial. We've got 3 smoke babes in play. The position of them is going to be key as J9 kicks things off as this execute's underway.
Yeah, Joker with the opening. Kendrick is going to have to tuck his tail between his legs to hopefully not get caught in the crossfire. And now Solar falls. That's the second. Third, LLH, they just can't lose, and it's looking like a flawless as Dawn now slowly isolated and shut out as the Denari having the largest save within this round.
And the Denari is just allowed to play this position. This key area that lets you hold the breach from a crossfire angle was not cleared by 1.5. We saw how effective the shields can be in the previous game at clearing that space to let your plant go down. And G5 just weren't able to clear Denari out of that position. So LLH using that to their great use to be able to deny the entry into the breach. As you just saw, the attackers getting cut down over and over to try to make their entry. So a really good defense from LLH, calm and composed. They got the plant denial in the right places, and that's a great way to start off their
Attackers
round
need to
2
locate
game
and defuse
here
as
in the
many bombs
Voltage
as they
Swiss
can.
stage.
G15, they also take their time, and I appreciate them for that, but to be honest, I think they should have been faster considering how quickly LLH backed off, but hey, that's all within their adaptation coming in the future rounds, hopefully. Now, LLH
Attackers
heading
have
towards
located a
the
bomb.
second bomb side. This is going to be games and dorms, and a small swap when it comes down to the lineup itself. The Fenrir leaving the field, but Glock replacing it with a Thorn.
These traps are going to be crucial in denying the shield gameplay. It's great to see we've got this dynamic now between the shields and the traps. Ella's been having a massive presence recently in T2. She's been having a great impact on denying the space, being able to deny those shields from taking that space as well. As it looks like, very similar to the last game, G1.5 want to make use of a shield at least. Interesting that in both games, when the Monty's been banned, we've been seeing a preference for the Blitz over the Blackbeard. Why do you think that might be, Puffo? Do you have a preference over whether you'd rather be playing Blackbeard or the Blitz?
Do not mention me playing shields ever again. I'm gonna say I'm an avid shield hater. No, but I mean, again, it is preference as to how aggressive you want to be. Again, the Blitz is really up front, flashes, goes forward, pulls out the pistol, and tries to be aggressive, as perfectly presented here by Rooney. He's just gonna dash himself in. Venom has picked off Cloudy elsewhere, but the shield falls, and LLH are responding in kind. This is 3 players on the attacking side gone, and chaos on the second half of the, or rather, the second round is G15. I don't know what they were thinking. They went in full blast, but they were left with nothing but scars left behind. Alfred returns the favor, although sadly he's the last man standing, and with no HP to remain, he's simply gonna have to bite the bullet on this one.
He just sees the head but isn't able to find it, as Alfred just trying to find something, anything, as he's sitting on 1 HP.
I mean, what do you do, honestly? Again, unless LLH are going to give you 3 1v1s where you do not eat up a single bullet, Alfred is a dead man walking by this point.
And it's a really nice attempt again from the attack to try and be aggressive, but going through this breach and through this vending window, we haven't seen anybody make it work yet. And that Thorn Trap's going to give his position away, Glock's going to swing it out to end the round. And it just seems the case of seemingly every team we've watched today has been good and prepared for a fast execute. It's really unfortunate that the player behind the Blitz got beamed when they were trying to kill the Blitz, so that immediately shut down the double take coming in on that vending side, and it was just really well defended by LLH. The crossfires are king. They shut down G1.5 in their tracks. I think if you go 3 rounds down, it's not the end of the world, but I'd like to see G1.5 try and get around on the board here to halve that deficit.
You know, it's a great thing when you try to switch up your playstyles, right? The first round from G15 was very
Attackers
calm,
need to locate
collected.
and
They
defuse
took their
bombs.
time, maybe a bit too much of it, but they were peaceful. In the second round, it was like LLH were their greatest
Bomb located
rival,
by
their
attackers.
biggest foe of all time and generations. And they fully sent it. Again, that swap of playstyle can tend to catch someone off guard. Not LLH, not a team of a caliber such as them. Either way, though, the defense, again, they start off quite nice. They can maybe start loosening up because, of course, when you're on the defensive side on a map like this, you tend to prefer that 4-2 split, as we talked about it in the previous map. And with LLH already being halfway there, it doesn't put as much pressure on them anymore.
I'm interested to see that now that we have the Blackbeard, we can make more use of the shield. I think the difference with the Blackbeard is that he now has the nades, so you can clear positions on your own. You can see that, someone's ducked into cover. I can tell my teammate I'm going to nade this out, but Joker's already going to find the Capital, and that's going to be so much utility off the board again, Puffo.
That is huge. Alfred, where did it go wrong? They played so aggressive themselves in the previous round, but they can't seem to face their own playstyle. LLH with a run out, and honestly, kudos to Joker for making it work, because now that execution utility has been dimmed down to the sense.
And especially when it comes to the execute later on in this round, is that lack of utility going to be the Achilles heel of G1.5? It's going to be a case of they do have the RAM, unlike the teams we saw previously, so there is a lot more vert to be made, and can we use that to get a pick and even up the man count for execute? This Deimos track will come in, looking to be aggressive and try and get the floor bang onto this player below.
Data, such a deadly weapon to open things up, and we'll find an opening in the hatch. Hopefully, Rooney, though, able to co-work with his teammates a bit more compared to the previous round, but of course, this is a new time for him to show his worth on this shield, and as it currently is that Blackbeard, I wonder how this is going to affect the playstyle of G15, but currently they're doing it by the book. Verticality captured, LLH, not a much of a response, but they are applying a bit of phantom presence. Glock through an impact just to kind of distract the attackers, if you may.
And this is where, with nearly 2 minutes on the clock when they started the verticality, there's so much time for G1.5 to figure out how they want to plan this execute. This medical area, again, is going to be one of the key entry points, the bottom of this staircase being a death box, as we've seen before. So they've not been able to find anything with the vert so far. They're trying to get that info onto site, and again, the sense wall coming out. It's a bit janky, though, and will that be something that will come back to bite G1.5? I think they're just starting to lose their way here a little bit. We need to start putting some pressure. We still have the verticality with the Deimos pistol. As you can see, LLH, they seem very comfortable in where they are as they patiently wait for this execute to come on in.
I mean, they found the Capital. They have nothing to worry about. They're still in their power positions, and to be quite frank, nothing has been taken or stripped away from them, so they just remain where they stand. And like that, it's all clockwork from then on out. Glock finds one, Joker follows. 2 players for G15, and I don't think there's going to be much of a resurgence here. Pistol pulled out in desperation, but even then, barely getting by. Left on 0 HP, and 0 teammates in the meanwhile. G15, this is another round to be lost.
It's a great round again from LLH, but what I really want to see from G1.5 is, although they lost their Capital, there were still 3 nades in play and 2 flashbangs. Although the vert hasn't directly given you the kills, you can pretty much guess where your opponents are likely to be because they're the only positions left on site to anchor in. I wanted to see G1.5 start throwing some of that utility into some common areas to try and flush out some of these defenders before they just walked into a preset crossfire and just got cut down. So unfortunately for G1.5, not a great round there again. But on the bright side, Puffo, they've now seen how all 3 sites have been played by LLH, and now they can start to make adjustments. They're looking for 2 out of the next 3 rounds to stay consistent with what is the expected result, and hopefully those adaptations will help them get those 2 rounds on the board.
100% G15 can't let so many mistakes slip by, not at least as many as we've seen so far. We're going to be going for a full 3-side rotation, meaning LLH, they're back on where they began, square one, only with 3 rounds down their pockets and looking as confident as ever. Again, even some of these rounds haven't been close. We saw the previous one, it was nearly a flawless. Rooney just had to run in on his lonesome, hoping he can capture anything, and while Solar was hoping to find a bit of a bounce back, his teammate Cloudy fell, and, well, Glock, he finished up the rest. So, G15, how are you going to stop this isolation? How are you going to stop LLH from splitting your team apart? Only time will tell. As for now, though, we're bringing out two very powerful operators on the defense. And Mira, not as commonly seen just yet, but now as the third wave of bans is gone, she can be used for the remainder of this first half.
And the key thing that I'm noticing for the side of the attackers is they've kept almost all of their drones alive in the prep phase. Our counter is a little bit bugged, but only one drone was sacrificed during the prep phase. So I think that means they're not going to have seen Azza on this mirror. Nice little remind placements as well to make sure this can be protected. As we look across the attacking lineup of G1.5, the only thing to really deal with this mirror extension is going to be that blitz. If he can get up to the mirror, give it a punch, that's the only real way they can deal with this utility. So I think that lack of information really might come to bite G1.5 later on in the round.
First exothermic used, Alfred now sending his drone forward, and it seems like Dorms is going to be completely open. Of course, LLH are still pondering about close by. We have Solar downstairs on this Dokkaebi. First Jago payload will make its way towards Venoms, and I'm imagining he's going to try and deny it. No, he's sticking to the C4. There we go. He's going to get rid of it. Actually will tank the damage, and in the meanwhile, still stand in the fire. So, a bit unfortunate, but at least the Jago payload can't come twice for him.
And he's found a great pick Glock backing up his teammate onto the Flores. They were trying to pinch that player down below, and it's great team play as the Blitz goes full aggro on to try and get the trade.
Oh, the F-Naught's going to be quite worrisome. It doesn't seem like the shots can connect. A second swing onto Rooney. He's alone once more. 3 for 3. Where do we get the shine? Can anyone help? This poor player Joker finally steps in, but it's not the Blitz that's supported. Alfred from a sideline. Solar elsewhere, now equalizing things out. Rather, Solar, he's going to find himself a two-piece, and G15 now back in the lead.
And just like that, this round has flipped itself on its head, and it's just down to the duo anchors on site. Kendrew and Azza, last two alive, to try and fend off the remaining 3 players. But this is where those mirrors can really come in clutch. There's BPs on key corridors as well. We still have all 5 Grimbees available on Cloudy and 2 Dokkaebi calls left. So there's so much information for the side of G1.5 to isolate these last 2 players and to make something happen. But will those mirrors equalize the man count?
As we're tanking the damage as well, unsure if that was the wisest of decisions, but it was his to make. Smoke Babes being prepped in the meanwhile. Kendrew hoping he can find himself lunch, just like Azar, who's advancing forward. The Grimbees not making contact with him just yet, but again, he's scared that there might be a bit too much distance for him to cross. Saw the head, took the opportunity, sadly didn't capitalize. And now Alfred making an approach. Azar falls in the meanwhile. It's all left down in the hands of Kendrew. And can he make this 1v3 happen? He's found himself the case. 20 seconds, he could potentially hold it hostage, but no. Returns back to site, looks to seek more ones. Again, 50 seconds isn't a lot for G15 to work with, but as long as he can find some of these long shots, retaliation might still be around. He's running for the hills, find himself a new angle of approach to potentially find Cloudy, who is sticking it down. Pros don't fake, but neither does Kendrew. It's in a 1v1. He has the best secondary within this game. He's seeking for the headshot is there, and somehow Kendrew has found himself glory and the 4th round for LLH.
And this man should have never retired. He became a coach for a bit, and he's still back. They're putting it in chat as well. He should never have retired. What are they thinking? Just the amazing shots coming out from the SMG-11 as he finds the head of all 3. And unfortunately for the side of G1.5, they've not played it the best way, and that's going to be heartbreaking for the side of G1.5. How are you letting Kendrew tear you apart like that?
Unk still got it. Bring Kendrew back in. He's in his prime. Holy! The fact that he was able to escape and scale through the map so well, go from each and every possible angle to contest these attackers, find these ones, and to be quite fair, the fact that G15 offered them so is, well, I wouldn't say shocking considering Kendrew and his experience, but still an immense result. And we're taking also back a look at this Rooney. I mean, again, the shield being alone, I like the initiative to try and find an equalization off Mankind, but just, you're alone, this gives Joker the time to find a restring, and although he does eventually fall, again, it still brings a lot of chaos to the attacking side.
And it's just so well played from Kendrew. He knew he had to get aggressive. He managed to catch one off guard, and then the next 2 just followed suit. So great play from him, that his experience really paying off. And the thing I want to see from the side of G1.5 is we need to start making some adaptations. These lineups are not changing very much. The Thermite, the Grim, the Flores, and the Blitz, we've pretty much seen every single round. And the fact that we're seeing the mirror being brought again, obviously not bannable now that we've already had that 3rd ban, I think we need to start bringing some direct counters to some of the things that LLH have been bringing round after round. We've seen the Azami every round. We've seen the Ela pretty much every round. The Fenrir's being brought every round. I don't really see anything on the side of G1.5 that can be used to counter these things. Something like a Twitch instead of the Flores might let you pop the mirrors, clear some of the Fenrir's, as well as the Ela traps. So it's just something where I think G1.5, they're very stuck in the ways of the way they want to attack, and that's costing them at the moment because they don't have the counters they need to counter what LLH are bringing.
On G15, you've got 2 more rounds, and these are 2 rounds you need badly. Look at LLH, though, soothing and swimming in confidence, currently just pushing themselves ahead towards bathroom. An early shot Rooney's way, who does not have the best of starts, but again, it's something they can very much afford. The Blitz going forward, clearing out air, and meanwhile, Deathmark making its way towards Kendrew. And yeah, you want to get rid of Kendrew after what he just did.
But this is the problem. They're going for the cross take again, and they're running head first into the setup of LLH. So this is what I want to see now. How do we problem solve the situation? Blitz is going to have just seen the mirror looking on the meeting wall. What can we do to deny it? And this is good progress. We're going to open up the wall into bathroom, start to clear some of these positions methodically, and make our way forward.
Good stun. Rooney lives for now. Again, we did see Block having to retreat for a moment and a reinforced off just to keep these attackers away. Joker swinging, finding Cloudy. There's no protection from the Blitz. A nade will be chucked and Azure fall, but not completely out just yet. The attacker is sending a full charge, and Impact is going to send Rooney flying and open it up for another kill. Joker 2, but he's fallen in return, although doing his did in the meanwhile, and just missing the opportunity to finish off Azar, who now gets picked up as calmness on both ends.
And in the 3v3 we settle, it's not too bad of a problem solve, but again, LLH have come out on the better side of it. They've managed to sneak Azza out of that meeting area and get him back on his feet, and this is where you can see G1.5, they've been stalled out by a second stage. This bathroom area was just a small problem, but Alfred looking to get aggressive, take the round into his hands and make something happen.
Moments, considering that Azure might want to use that C4, but it's a bit difficult to hear in the moment. G15, you've got 30 seconds, droning what you can, finding last bits of information. Alfred here with a really good attempt to find Kendra as 2 players on the defending side very low, but G15 are going to approach this one-dimensionally, or at least it seems that way. Smokes Babe sense, but again doesn't distract. Demo's going for a ball, now up close, going to just barely scathe Kendra and take him out. A laying down Azure will return the favor, as now entering his Solar. Goat falls in return, and now down into the hands of the Flores, who has kicked off this push but has to go for the plant, and now approached from 2 different sides. He finds Venom's pistol in hand, but Glock will shut him down. LLH stealing the fire from G15 once more.
It was a little bit dicey, but they got it over the line. It's that man advantage coming in clutch for LLH once again. Good intentions had to force the issue. There was trades in place, but there just wasn't enough utility to help them push into the bomb site and overcome that man deficit. And LLH, they're playing this textbook style. They set up multiple levels of challenges that G1.5 have to solve. They fall back into the next layer of their defense where they hold the bomb site itself. And unfortunately, it's because G1.5, they're having to problem solve rather than having the direct counters that they might otherwise be bringing to make something happen. For example, if they had an Ash or a Kali on the board, they could just clear that mirror straight off the bat and progress through that bathroom area a lot faster. There is still hope. There is another round left. They're going back to kitchen again, and it is a very similar lineup from the defense, Puffo, to what was seen previously. So hopefully we see some adaptations this time from G1.5 to help make this kitchen attack much easier this time around.
I mean, if it isn't already bad enough, their best split heading into the second half is a 5-1. That sounds quite dire to me. And, well, it's a lot better than a 6-0, let me tell you that, because at least on that defense, they're going to have a chance to respond, where they won't need to be constantly on the adapting end, rather just nicely comfortable, tucked back in their own. I do like that Solar's now getting ready for a potential another run out by Azure, but not happening this time around, as in the meanwhile, we have to give credit to some of these players, right? G15, of course, we have Solar, has been doing great for his team, and then LLH, Joker, and Glock carrying 15 kills between the two.
It is crazy how well these two are doing, and if we look at the lineup, Puffo, for G1.5, it doesn't fill me with loads of hope, because it is exactly the same as what they were running previously. However, they are a lot faster into the building this time around. There is no real top floor presence being shown from the side of LLH. And why would they? From the round previously, they were very comfortable playing the horizontal game and playing the site itself. So they've gone for the exact same strategy. We're going to let the top floor go. We're going to let G1.5 put the pressure on us and absorb it later on the round. The RAM gadget's going out much earlier this time around. And the key thing is going to be, can we use the nades and the flourish drones and the flashbangs to try and root out some of these defenders and give ourselves an advantageous situation before we look to execute onto the site itself. There's so much potential in this lineup, Puffo, with things that they can throw and adapt the map to their advantage, that we should see a much better round from G1.5 this time around.
That's the one thing that makes this site quite viable. It's not like a third site that's the worst out of the three. It's still extremely, extremely good for defenders, and it's because you can really play it horizontally. CG 1.5, they've taken over the site. Verticality is theirs, but they haven't snuffed out a single player, a single defender, because you can play this just by simply standing in the rooms around the map. Currently, we see some of them in Infirmary, and again, LLH, they can just wait. A minute is ticking down. G1.5, they haven't set a foot downstairs just yet.
And the key thing will be, let's keep an eye on the Blackbeard. He's going to be the spearhead of this attack. And we want to see Renzi try and make a good decision here. If he can prompt his team, start pushing in the right direction, that's going to be the goated thing. Alfred's going to look for a little bit of a backstab. As the clock keeps ticking, and as it keeps ticking away, it becomes more and more pressure on G1.5 to do something.
Azar, he went for it, but Alfred was ready. Not this time around. A bit too much PTSD from that red out. In the meanwhile, though, Cloudy with the second one now. The shield up close, just getting a bit of a side angle. Rudy almost falls, barely surviving. Backup is here, though. Nade close, damaging Joker. He's able to find the finishing shot on Cloudy. A second one as well. Venom's elsewhere, and LLH picking everything back up into order, but it's chaos for G1.5. Alfred is the only one responding currently, and these two attackers need to find some sort of resurgence. Final two of them also low on HP. One hit by a razor bloom, meaning he's going to be low, he's going to be slow, he's going to be bleeding on the floor. Alfred sending out one of those fire bolts, but we have 3 seconds. The diffuser is not there, and unless there are any kills happening within this last second, LLH are going flawless within this first half.
And a very cheeky run out coming in at the end to make sure there was no chance that the attackers could find the kill. They had to try and get the kit down, but there was no time left for that to happen. And unfortunately for G1.5, they're not able to get any rounds on their attack. And hopefully going to the defense, now that they can set the pace, they can dictate what problems LLH have to solve, they can start to make their comeback and get their footing into this game, because 6-0 down is a very hard task to come out from, but at least you're on the defense now. You can set the pace, you can make it as difficult as possible for LLH to try and win the round, but do they have the mentality to lock in and try and make it difficult?
Sometimes sugarcoating is good. This case, G1.5, as much as we'd like to support this underdog story, losing 6 rounds in a row is no laughing matter. I mean, they have not been able to really pull anything together. There have been some close rounds, and that one close round was where they lost a 3v1, and in the meanwhile, they've been struggling with their shield operator. Of course, again, I'm imagining in their own respective amount and experience, G1.5 are a great team to watch, but currently against LLH, they're being stomped. You're taking a look at the Blackbeard, he somehow gets lost in a 1v1, then when the supporting line comes in, both of them end up falling, so it looks like it would have been even better if the Blackbeard just went into a 1v1. Again, this is a lot of struggles. They're heading onto the defense, yes, but LLH, they are one of the best tier 2 teams currently in the EU region. We're taking a look at this. Look at Joker. He's struggling. Instead, there's so much utility they could use to flush him out, but he lays down, uses the CZ75, and somehow finds the both of them.
It was a 3v5 as well, so it's LLH just firing on all cylinders at the moment. But this is where, again, it's a 4-2 generally to the defense. G5 1.5 need to swing that into a 6-0 in their favour if they want to continue into the 2-0 side of the Swiss. The good thing for G5 is this will put them right in the middle of the pack, even if they lose this game. Having won their first game, their record will be 1-1. Obviously, in the Swiss format, Puffo, because I don't think we've actually explained it yet, teams that go 3-0 will be our promoted teams. Teams that manage to have 3 losses, they will be our first eliminated teams. So I think G1.5, although this is not probably the results they were looking for, if they do go on to lose this game, it's not the end of the world. I think LLH, for them, they will be ecstatic that they've managed to 7-0 if that's what happens, their counterparts. But we'll have to wait and see if that's how this game will play out.
If G1.5 do end up getting promoted, they're going to have to start preparing for teams of the same level, if not better, than LLH. So this match, although maybe not going in their fluidity, as you mentioned, it's a good learning curve. It's something to really look at and take everything you can away from. But 6-0 or not, rounds are individual, not affected by the previous results. G1.5, a comeback is possible, but you're going to have to work really hard for it.
And Joker's hopped on the Glaz, but Alfred's going to kick things off for us by taking Kendrew off the board. And is the Glaz going to be something that we can see getting value? Because it's not something that's been available to teams to use until this point. So what are we going to see happen with the Glaz?
We've seen it banned. Previous half, now available. Joker on 10 kills could make magic happen. But LLH, they've lost their opener, and it's certainly not the best considering that Grim was lost and execution utility now split towards that Glaz and Capital. Either way, though, as for now, G15 being spotted. And again, LLH joining and doing their usual 3 big booms in chat. Azur is going to find himself, or at least the most value from that newly added Zofia buff. And with it, he also finds the Azami, which is huge.
And it's time to push their way into the tower. They're very much looking to use the Flores to open up a line of sight to get themselves in, because they've not brought any hard breach this time around. They have a couple of the can openers, but preferring the heavy utility of smoke. Just really under the cosh here as he anticipates the fight. Will find one with the shotgun, and that's really well played from him.
That's brutal. Joker, I do not know if he saw the player or not, but he's going to pick off Don. And come on, we're finding ourselves in a very equal spot. Joker cornered now, trying to hopefully find himself a couple of freebies, but they're not presenting themselves. LLH, you're going to need to work harder for them. G15 now hiding in plain sight. Of course, 30 seconds doesn't make it good for this winning team to progress forward, and Solar up close is going to easily win that initiation, but there's still 2 more to work with. He saw the barrel, or maybe not. Solar, did he notice Venom's around that corner? Certainly he knows about it now, and a couple of pop shots attempting to make their way through. Glock just missing one of the defending players, vaulting into bathroom, still trying to hold him close. Venom's picking up 2, and there is no way that G1v5 lose this one. Cloudy's gone for a couple of swings. Now he needs to bring it back. It's all on his shoulders. The plant going down beneath his nose. He's around the corner. He knows where the shots are coming from, and Clock is going to shut him down. LLH going flawless within their second Swiss stage match and making it look like child's play.
What a game from the side of LLH, almost playing to perfection as we do see the Glaz getting great value, but Venom's being the hero of that round. He was putting that DMR to work as he was absolutely cooking with the DMR, and in a 3v2 situation, that's the kind of composure you need to make sure you can get it over the line. It was not their game today, Mighty, and a couple of reasons why is we spoke about it during the cast as well, is I don't feel like Good Intentions, especially on their attacking half, managed to find ways to adjust to what LLH were doing. LLH, obviously, across the first half of their defense, had a very sound setup, but I think there was definitely ways that Good Intentions could adapt some of their lineups. Just a couple of operators here or there, like the Twitch, like the Zero, just doing a couple of little things here and there to allow themselves to be better. So G1.5, I think that's something they can take into their next game, is if they can try and realize, look, these are common operators that we're seeing being brought round to round. What can we do to counter that? And then hopefully Puffer Bob, when we see them next, they'll be a much better team. They'll be able to adapt and get more rounds in the game.
You know what? As much as, they did get stomped within this match, if G1.5 are currently listening, I really do pray, I hope that they return to us, to this broadcast, they fight LLH, and they show us a new performance, that they show us they can do this. As Mighty said, all the players in this match, all the players within Season 7, they have the potential. There's a reason they're here. And G1.5, they are no exception. So hopefully we see them more in the future, and hopefully we see them stronger than ever.
Yeah, hopefully we will get that chance on a later occasion. But as we sound in, that was the last match for today. Unfortunately, round 1 and 2 of the Swiss stage will be done and dusted after this day. And by that being said, Lenovo is one of the 2 lucky teams that will be 2-0 and have the chance to prevail themselves and shove themselves into the next stage on the next playday in round number 3. On the other hand, for G1.5, there's still a lot of work to do, as they are now in a 1-on-1 bracket in the middle of the brackets. But on the other end, they have so much more potential. They have time to go back to the drawing board and give us a better performance. But that be seen on another broadcast. As I was Mighty, we had the lovely 2 casters, Amguns and Puffo. We had the banger man himself on the Observe. We had the Unnamed Gamer, and we also had our dearest and finest of all producers, Hayshot, on the production. So without these guys, we couldn't have done this all. But, and that's been said. Thanks to the audience out there in chat, interacting with us, having a watch. And then we speak when it's next time for next playday here of Voltage League Season 7.